Welcome back to the grind for an Act 7.3 Quest number 1 completion guide. And in my opinion, this is the easy path with Power Shield, Hurt Locker, and Special Delivery. Now, Special Delivery and Hurt Locker are kind of annoying, but we do have Power Shield to get some increased damage. And despite having Special Delivery, you can still get off pretty much all your special attacks at some point throughout the fight because Matador as well. So all you have to do to get a bar of power is to push them over 1 bar and bait that out. So when they throw a special attack, you get a bar of power. They also have special 1 bias, which is encouraging them to throw that special 1 so that you can get more power that way. So you want to keep track of your special delivery charges. And the one situation where you can get yourself into a problem is if you have just thrown off a special 2 and you're running out of special delivery charges and you let them throw a special attack to push you from 1 bar to 2 bars, you don't have much of an option. So you want to try to avoid that. And there's a few situations where you're going to have to make sure you throw off a special attack before they use theirs. And for this lane, you can really use a variety of champions with strong damage over time effects because damage over time gets through it. So Archangel can do this lane just fine, but preferably you want to use champions with high damage special attacks, or even better, high damage special attacks that also have high damage over time effects, because those will also be amplified. Now, I did make a few mistakes and get hit by the special 1, so I did take some significant shock damage, but you can see those Incinerates and Nova Flames are doing lots of damage, taking her down, and then when we do throw off a special attack, it does give us some pretty decent damage as well. So not too difficult of a fight with Human Torch. There's a couple mystics on this lane, so not a bad option for those. Next, we have Red Goblin, and we're going to go in with Mojo. Mojo is not necessarily the best counter for Red Goblin because Red Goblin doesn't build up a ton of temporary buffs, but I wanted to use Mojo because Mojo is my most recent rank 2, and I'm considering taking him to rank 3, so I wanted to get some experience with him. So for Mojo, you want to just, complete all the prompts as quick as you can so you can get yourself into the anti-field, because that's when you'll be able to do more degen damage and, convert buffs into degeneration. You also, once you get up over 5 of those thumbs up charges or whatever they're called, you can start putting hate buffs on the opponent, which then expire and cause degen. So once we get going, Mojo's special attacks can deal some pretty significant damage, and a lot of it is passive damage. And look, when we come out, we have 5 degens, passive degens, and they're ticking for like 6,000 damage. So that's some pretty good damage. And then each one of those hate buffs that go on starts ticking for some more degen damage. It's about 488 per tick. And then we're going to go up to our special 2 now. And then we're going to throw that off. Ideally, you want to use a special 2 for damage because it's 2 bars of power for 5 degens on the opponent. But because of special delivery, we do have to rotate which special attacks we're throwing. So now we're throwing off the special 2. We've got some hate buffs giving degens, and boom, that special attack did so much damage, and we're melting him down so quick after that. So Mojo is a lot of fun to play, and we're going to see him in another fight and take a look at his sustainability, because he regenerates 3% missing health when he has a buff expire on the opponent. So in some situations that can be pretty significant. Now we're going in with Guardian on this next one. Guardian's not a bad option for this because he has some high damage special 2s, and you can cycle special 1 to special 2, and once you get going, you can have the opponent throwing off special attacks fairly quickly. So we got our special 1 off now, and he's already over another bar of power, so we bait out that special attack, go in with a combo, go in with another combo, and he's over 1 bar of power yet again. So we bait that out and we get our special 2. Now we're going to go in and use up as many of these charges as we can so we can, maximize how many hits we're doing on Massacre for every 15 charges of special delivery. And then we throw off our special 2 for some nice big damage. And then you basically just do that same rotation, a special 1 and a special 2. And that is all it took to finish off this fight. Now the next fight we're going to go into is going to be up against a Magneto. Now, I struggle with dexing Magneto's special 1 or Red Magneto's special 2, but I was hoping that I could get by with Diablo, take some block damage if I need to, and just heal it back up. And it was going pretty good. So with Diablo, first I threw off a special 1 as soon as I used up most of my charges, and then that was going to ideally give me enough power to get to a special 2, and then after that, build up to a special 3. So now we're throwing off our special 2, and we already have him close to a second bar of power, which means with very few charges, we're going to be able to now get myself 2 bars of power. Now we're just going to push him up to another bar of power, and we'll have 3 bars of power to throw off a nasty special 3, but unfortunately I got hit by the special 1 right to the face. So that was very unfortunate. So then we went in and finished it off with Guardian. Guardian's got good block proficiency. Even though he's metal, we didn't have too much issues finishing off this fight because he does so well with the block proficiency, and we finished off the fight with Guardian. And then going into the next fight, we're going up against a Tigra. Now, I neglected the fact that Tigra has a chance to miss all non-contact hits. So when I was throwing off my special attacks with Dr. Doom, I was missing, and that was allowing her to, phase or miss through some of my hits and then counter me right after the special attack. So it didn't go very well, unfortunately. So we're baiting out a special 1 here. Now we've got 2 bars of power. We're going to go in and throw off that special 2, but she missed some of them, took some to the block, and then missed the last couple of hits, so she countered me right away. And that's kind of how this fight went for the majority of the time. We did get some damage off with our special attacks, and special 3 did some decent damage, but we kept running into that situation where I was throwing off the special 2, and she would miss some of the hits and then counter me. So that did not go very well for me, unfortunately, and I ended up dying before I could finish off the fight. So we went in with Mojo to clean up. Now see, we have about 28% health here, and every time she has a buff expire, we're going to trigger a regeneration, and that regeneration is going to heal us for 3% of total missing health. If you get a prompt with Mojo you don't like, you can throw a heavy attack off to refresh it. So if you're not going to be able to finish it in time, you can throw a heavy to refresh it. Now we've got our Fury buff and 5 of those hatreds, or whatever they're called, 5 subscribers. Now we're throwing off a special 2 and getting some nice big juicy degen damage, and we're currently up over 30% now. That fight, we didn't gain a ton of health, but it was sustaining us even with the blocked hits that we were taking. Now we're going in with Mojo for this final fight against Hyperion, and Hyperion, part of his kit is he has extended buff duration. So while Mojo during the anti-field has reduced buff duration on the opponent, because Hyperion already has such increased buff duration, we only reduce it by a certain amount. So it still is nice because the buffs aren't lasting as long, but we can't make them fall off essentially immediately. However, we still are managing to control this fight without too much difficulty, and we managed to trigger anti-life field again, and we're going to build up, I think this time, to a special 3 because we have enough charges to get there. And Hyperion makes it easy because of the power gain, so he can throw off lots of special attacks pretty frequently, which allows you to cycle between your special 2s and special 3s pretty quickly. Now, another thing with Mojo is if you have a prompt active, you can use your special 3 to immediately complete that prompt and trigger the degens. Unfortunately, we used it a little early, so we had to complete the prompt after coming out of the special 3, but we still completed it very quickly, got some nice degen damage, and already we're back up to a special 2. And you can see the regen continues to trigger. And what's nice is it's a passive regen. So that's very nice to have passive regen so that it can't be, blocked by buffs or by a node that prevents you from getting a buff. Now, we're going into the boss fight, and what I thought was the easiest boss fight for this lane, if you bring Magneto, is the Ultron. The Ultron does have Armored Assault and boost buff armor up if you attack. If he triggers an armor up, he'll go unblockable. He also has enhanced abilities, so he will be evading a little bit more frequently. But if you just stick to parry heavy with Magneto, you end up with a very simple fight. One of the issues, which we're going to actually see in this, is that we do have that node that gives you more power for hitting the opponent, but you do continually lose a small amount of power. So when you get up to your special 3, you have a very small window to trigger your special 3 after that last hit before you actually fall below a special 3. And we're actually going to get to see that because I do make that mistake because my tap does not quite register. I'm not sure what it was. I was playing without my phone case on at the time, and so I had a bit of a different feel to the play. But we're going to see how that works. I'm building up my charges. You can see he evades pretty frequently when I do attack into him when he's not stunned. But we're building up the prowesses now. We're charging up to almost 40 now, and I go to throw it off after this next heavy attack when I hit and get 3 bars of power, but I trigger it just a little late, so I fall below 3 bars, and now I attacked into his block and he triggered an armor up, so he's unblockable. But when you crit against the opponent, you are able to remove those armor up buffs. So if he does trigger an armor up, you want to get an opening and crit against him, and that will remove the armor up at the cost of all the damage that you would have dealt with that crit. So now he's no longer unblockable, and we're working on building up our prowesses yet again. So we're going back to our parry heavy, charging those prowesses, and after we get there, we're actually just going to attack in with a combo, and I feel like I'm a little bit more capable of timing the special 3 when I'm doing it after the last hit of a combo. So you see there, we timed that with 3 bars of power, threw off the special 3, and it doesn't actually one-shot him, which is one of the few times where the bosses have more health than my rank 2 Magneto can handle. But we do have a massive Fury and a lot of armor break, so we finish it off very quickly. I do hope that this video was helpful. Let me know what your thoughts are, what path you took, what boss you took, and what champions you used, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.